place that I love as well as my Virgil home 'neath the maiden hill. My Virgil home, that heaven of mine, the home of my parents, so loving and kind. I love them so, and I always will. And my Virgil home 'neath the maiden hill. The harbor's so pretty in the morning sunshine, as the seabirds and robins their sweet notes entwine. The fishing goes shiny in the water so still, here in my home 'neath the maiden hill. When I had trouble or if I was sad, I always found comfort from good friends I had. They knew that I loved them and I always will. And my Virgil home 'neath the maiden hill. My Virgil home, that heaven of mine, the home of my parents, so loving and kind. I love them so, and I always will. And my Virgil home 'neath the maiden hill. With her fishery failing, I may have to roam. Dear God, how I'd hate to leave my dear home, but each night in memory, sure I'll see it still. My Virgil home 'neath the maiden hill. My Virgil home, that heaven of mine, the home of my parents, so loving and kind. I love them so, and I always will. And my Virgil home 'neath the maiden hill.
Good evening. Welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight's stories include the department responded to a call from the scene. Interview with Cabot 500 celebrates
Megan.
So I'd encourage people to fill it in and
These stories and more coming up after this important message about drinking and driving.
When you drink and drive, you find yourself face down in the dirt. Get the message. Use the quarter.
The Virgil Fire Department responded to a fire call at the Southwest Senior Center this past week. Over the past number of years, BBS has heard a large number of videos that we've acquired through the War Amputations of Canada. I had a telephone interview on Thursday with a representative from the War Amps. Speaking with me today is Chris Moyes of the War Amps. Welcome to our studio, Mr. Moyes.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell us how long the War Amps have been in operation?
Well, the War Amps of Canada has been in existence for a long time. It started with war amputees from not only World War I but World War II, and also war amputees from the Korean conflict. They've been continuing to operate for a number of years. It's basically stretching right from the start of World War, or the end of World War I, sorry.
Okay, are the War Amps operating just in Canada, or are they working in other parts of the world as well?
Basically, the War Amputations of Canada is a Canadian organization. However, they're well known throughout the world with respect to issues that deal with war. As an example, our Never Again series of films have been produced in a number of languages and have been shown in a variety of countries throughout the world.
One very popular aspect of the War Amps is the key tag service. Why did the War Amps set up this service?
The key tag service was started in 1946, actually, at the end of World War II. A person by the name of, he was a padre actually, Sidney Lambert, set up a sheltered workshop in 1946 for the purpose of providing employment for war amputees, and also to provide a service to Canadians that would provide funds for the War Amputations of Canada organization. So it was started in 1946 and has continued to grow throughout the past 50 years.
Okay, how does the key tag service operate?
Okay, as part of this workshop, sheltered workshop, they produce key tags that are mailed out to Canadians throughout Canada. And the way they work is that if Canadians attach the key tags to their car keys or house keys or any other set of keys, if they are lost, then whoever finds that set of keys can just put them in any mailbox, and they'll be sent to the key tag service in Ontario, which will then, through computers, identify the owner of the keys, and then they are placed back in the mail, soon to be received by the original owner.
Okay, these key tags come in the mail. There's no cost to use these key tags, is there?
No, not at all. The War Amps are a charitable organization, and this is a service that we provide free of charge. And if people would like to donate to the War Amps, then by all means they can do so. But they do not have to donate.
Okay, that's a great service. What other services do the War Amps offer?
Well, in addition to the key tag service, we also provide a return address label service, which is basically like during particular times of the year, such as Christmas, when people send Christmas cards, then they can put these return address labels, on letters or postcards or anything else that needs identification. And again, people can donate to the War Amps, but they're not required to donate to receive the return address labels.
Okay, I understand that you're working in St. John's. What services are the War Amps offering here in Newfoundland?
Well, I work in St. John's, but my actual title with the War Amps is as a liaison officer, which means basically that if there's any requests for presentations or interviews that they're received in Ottawa by the national headquarters, they will contact me here in St. John's, and then I will contact the media or this particular school or Girl Guide or Boy Scout group that is interested in a presentation, and then I will go and conduct that interview or presentation or whatever the case may be.
So you do these presentations all over the island wherever they're required?
Yes, if there's a need to have an interview or a presentation in Grand Falls or Corner Brook, then if I have the time to go there, I will go there and conduct the interview or presentation.
Okay, Mr. Moyes, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Just basically that if people have not yet received their key tags, they're still being mailed for the next 2 weeks or so. But I have a number that if you have not received key tags, you can call 1-800-268-8821 to order your key tags.
Key tags, they're not sent to everyone every year, I understand. Is that correct?
Well, the mailing addresses that the War Amps have are, they are private. They're not shared among any other organizations. So basically, the best thing to do is that if you have not received your key tags this year or for the past year or so, is to call that 1-800 number, and then they'll be sent out to you very shortly.
Okay, well, we'd like to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to speak to us today.
Thank you very much.
There were a few signs that spring may have been in the air on Tuesday. Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review after this important message from the Theatre Arts class about the dangers of drinking and driving.
In 1995, in Newfoundland alone, there were over 4,000 alcohol-related collisions. These accidents could have been prevented.
On grad night, if you drink, don't drive. Call for a ride.
Get the
Message. Use the quarter.
I had an interview this past week about the Cabot 500 celebrations. More specifically about the visit of the replica of Cabot's vessel, the Matthew, to Burgeo, and what it will mean for our community. Speaking with me in the studio today, I have Ken Corbett, Manager of Planning and Logistics for the John Cabot 500th Anniversary Celebrations, Rose Daly, Matthew Expertise Coordinator, and Mayor Blaine Marks. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you.
Ken, what is the status of the Cabot Corporation and the Cabot 500 celebrations?
Well, thank you first of all for inviting us here this evening to talk about the Cabot. I'm very happy to say that the Cabot celebrations are very much alive, well and kicking, and that we're proceeding with full steam, full head of wind in our sails, if you'd like to say. We have had some problems, as I guess everybody knows, but things are back on track and we're now proceeding with all the event planning. The Cabot Corporation does still exist for a number of legal reasons, but we prefer these days to be known as the Cabot Celebrations Team and a Cabot Resource Centre. We're now part of the Department of Tourism, Culture and Recreation, and in fact the ADM of Recreation, Mike Bust, is now the General Manager for the Cabot team. I guess everybody's aware that we have had a number of budget cuts as a result of the reorganization, and these have had some effects obviously on the event planning, but I'm happy to say that we are still working towards the original objectives that were set by the original team, who had done a lot of good work, good advanced preparation for setting up the whole year of celebration, and we're trying to now capitalize on that work that was done and continue to put the events in place and get them going. Things like the Summit of the Sea, the Festival 500 Choral, the Year of the Arts, an opening, closing ceremony, regional events, and of course the highlight as far as we're concerned, the visit of the Matthew, are still proceeding. So the word is Cabot is going.
Okay, Rose, can you tell me about the Matthew and the significance of the Matthew's visit to Newfoundland?
Well, there are a number of reasons for the Matthew's visit being significant, but first of all, I'd like to tell people a little bit about the ship itself. It is an exact replica of the ship that Cabot sailed across the Atlantic in 1497. The ship was built in Bristol, where in fact the original Matthew was built. The vessel is what's known as a square rigger. It's built in the traditional style of the late 1400s with keel and ribs of oak, as well as larch and pine planking. The vessel is not a big vessel. It's only 73 feet long. It's 21 feet wide, which I'm sure is small by Burgeo standards because of some of the boats you have in here. It has a displacement of 90 tons. It's got 2 square sails and an 18 sail at the end, or in the stern, I should say. And I guess the fact that it is a small vessel makes it significant because that is the kind of vessel that brought Cabot and his crew of 20 here 500 years ago to land on our shores. The Matthew's visit to Newfoundland will mark the 500th anniversary of that landfall. And I guess the visit itself as an event, as an anchor event for the 97 celebrations, will attract more visitors, more tourists, generate more revenue, and involve more people in the planning process than any other single event being held in 97. Another aspect which makes the whole Matthew project significant is that it's a province-wide event. The Matthew will circumnavigate the island and stop in Labrador. So there are so many people involved in planning for that visit, and in each port, planning groups such as the one which will be put in place in Burgeo are planning come home year activities, festivals, and all sorts of high-profile events to celebrate the Matthew being in port and to celebrate the 500th anniversary of Cabot's discovery of Newfoundland. So those are some of the things that make it unique and make it significant.
Ken, how was Burgeo selected as a visit port, and what activities will take place while the Matthew is here in Burgeo?
Very good. First thing I should say is that the selection was not a bureaucratic decision-making process at all. In fact, the Matthew has an advisory board in place which is made up of a number of people representing different areas of commerce and arts throughout the province. Under them they have a marine advisory committee, a subcommittee which is comprised of a number of people very knowledgeable in marine matters. They were given the task of coming up with a list of the ports that the Matthew should visit. The selection was based initially on marine considerations in terms of ports that had good docking facilities, protected docking facilities, wind and weather being a very obvious concern. We don't want the boat battered to pieces before it gets halfway around the island. So marine considerations. The second consideration was to ensure that every region of the province, including Labrador to some extent, had an opportunity to view the Matthew while it was here in the province. So the emphasis is that these are not, it's not just landing in Burgeo or Port aux Basques or Stephenville or wherever. It's intended to be for the community in that area to participate and have the opportunity to see the Matthew. What's going to happen while it's here in Burgeo? I'll just talk about the arrival ceremonies, and I'll let Blaine and Rose talk about some of the other things that are going to be happening while it's here. When the boat arrives, and it's due to arrive here on July the 15th, 1997 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or weather permitting, it'll be landing down at the Federal Wharf, and we'll be setting up there some grandstands and sound and lighting and so forth. When the boat arrives, there'll be an enactment of Cabot's initial landfall, and we'll have a group of people down here who will enact the whole arrival ceremony. There'll be a short ecumenical service, Thanksgiving, which your clergy from Burgeo will participate in. Obviously at these things, the opportunity for VIPs to give some speeches and say their thing. And then we'll have an entertainment thing, which will involve probably local entertainment groups, plus possibly some that we'll bring in with us. This will be a 45, 75-minute type of event, which will get everybody involved and get everybody into the arrival of the Matthew. And I'll let Rose and Blaine, as I say, talk about some of the other things that will happen.
Okay, would you like to describe for us some of the other activities that will take place in Burgeo during the visit, and in particular the impact with respect to the Sand and Sea Festival?
Okay, well, I'll just speak to some of the things that will be happening. We expect that there will be hundreds, if not thousands, of people here to visit the Matthew, to see her dock, because it's a very historic voyage, and what it signifies means a lot to Newfoundlanders. The fact that we're still here after 500 years, and that kind of thing, despite all sorts of adversity. So, as Ken said, there will be a lot of local involvement in the official arrival ceremonies and concession stands. This is a good opportunity for people to make money because of the numbers of people which will be going through. As well, the Matthew is available for public boarding, so we expect that most people who visit dockside will also want to go aboard and see the Matthew and see the kinds of instruments that were used to navigate the Atlantic in 1497, as well as see some of the state-of-the-art technology and GPS, that kind of thing, which assists people now. We expect that, well, boarding, of course, is free as well, and open to the public. But there will be a lot of involvement on the part of the community and on the part of people involved in, or people from other Southwest Coast communities.
Yeah, the visit of Matthew next year, the Sand and Sea Festival Committee has agreed to hold the festival for 1997 to coincide with the Matthew visit. Of course, the Sand and Sea Festival is, or will be, one of the main events, I guess, which will be taking place during the Matthew visit in Burgeo. You know, this visit by the Matthew will add another dimension to the festival, and it certainly will bring more visitors to Burgeo. Not only will the Matthew be visiting, but it's conceivable that probably there will be 100+ yachts visiting, a flotilla visiting as well, so that's certainly going to be a boost to the local economy. Well, the Matthew is in Burgeo, of course, for the day and a half. During that period, the activities will be centered around the Matthew and the, I guess, Cabot celebrations. Since the Sand and Sea Festival is new, I think that will be its 4th year, I think, in '97. It will be a great opportunity for Burgeo to promote the festival through the efforts related to the Matthew celebrations, because there will be not only national but probably international news coverage on that event and for each port, so it will give us a lot of exposure to the outside. You know, the events in Burgeo are going to be, I guess, Cabot events for that particular period. And I'm sure it will be very beneficial to Burgeo as related to tourism in years to come, and certainly for the local economy for that particular period of time. We're also, we hope that other groups will become involved, not only the Sand and Sea Festival, but other groups around town will become involved. We're hoping to make this one of the most successful events to date.
Are there committees in place to plan these events, and how can citizens go about becoming involved?
Well, we're hoping, right now we had a meeting last night, and the groundwork is underway to have a Matthew planning committee formed in the near future. We have some people who have already expressed an interest in being on that committee. We will be contacting other groups in town, such as the Lions Club, the lodges, to have representatives from those groups on the committee. As well, we're hoping that we may get some representation from RAMU, because this visit will have spin-offs for RAMU. You know, there's things planned, such as probably boat tours and things like that. So maybe we can have it as not only a Burgeo thing, but a regional thing. And you know, we're hoping that people will become involved in the various committees and that are going to have to be put in place, because it will not be just a one committee. I mean, there will be subcommittees to cover certain aspects of the event. You know, it's going to be a big event. I'd probably hazard to guess that it will be Burgeo's biggest event up to that time. As I said before, it's going to be national and international coverage, and it's an opportune time for us to put Burgeo on the map as a place good, you know, for tourism and things like that. Promote our area and draw the people in, because 97 will be our starting point, and if we can get the thing organized and put off the way we want it, we will get the coverage and people will come back.
Okay, Mayor Marks, do you have any closing comments?
Well, as I I guess, said, I'd like to encourage hall groups and individuals to get involved. As we see it, it's a starting point for future years. You know, for other flotillas, it doesn't have to be Matthew, but if you get people that's you know, 100 or so yachts, I'm sure that they'll find something in this area that they'll want to come back to. And I guess word of mouth advertising is as good as any of the media coverage, but I'm sure they'll go back to wherever they come from, and they're going to tell you know, their friends, you know, what a great bunch we are down here, what you know, what nice scenery, what things we have. In '97, you know, it's a starting point because I just looked at it this morning. 97 can be our starting point. In 1998, that's the 10th anniversary, I guess, of our first come home year, and when we held that in 1988, we said that we would have another one in 10 years. So we could start that for our second come home year in 1998. 1999, one of the themes, I guess, for the Sand and Sea could be relating to our 50 years in Confederation, which is 1999. And for the year 2000, another theme could be, well, of course, turn of the century, but also will be 50 years of the incorporation of the town. So it's you know, it's something that we can build on and have a different theme for the next 4 to 5 years.
Okay, is there anything else that either of you would like to add?
I don't think so. I think that other than the Mayor Marks's remarks are very opportune, in as much as I think that one of the reasons for the Cabot celebrations is to create a legacy of events and to build upon the events which are taking place in '97, and to hear what Mayor Marks is saying, I think, is fulfilling that objective very well. So we're very pleased with that.
And for me, I'm coordinating the visit for the whole province, but I think there's a great deal to see in Burgeo. I think Burgeo is one of the prettiest ports of call on the Matthew itinerary, and I believe, as Mayor Marks has said, that it will attract hundreds of people and set the pace, I guess, for other events that will have a big impact on tourism in this area.
Okay, well, we'd like to thank you for coming in and speaking with us today.
Pleasure to be here.
Our guests today are Ken Corbett and Rose Daly from the John Cabot 500th anniversary celebrations, and Mayor Marks. During a recent visit to Burgeo, 2 representatives from West Viking College stopped by our studio for an interview. Speaking with me in the studio today, I have Pat Power, Area Director of the Bay St. George campus of West Viking College, and Cyril Organ, Program Development Officer with West Viking College. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure, Dave. It's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak with you and the people of Burgeo.
Can you tell us a little bit about the courses that the Bay St. George campus of West Viking College are currently offering?
A number of programs ongoing here now, including quilting, and there's a couple of others that we're trying to get up and running, like a small engine repair. We're operating an adult basic education program in Ramia too, and we're about to start a first year of the business admin program in Ramia on the 4th of March, I think, if everything goes well. And there are a number of other evening and part-time programs running in Ramia as well, or about to start at this time. And of course, we're offering the adult basic education program using the facilities of the local cable channel here in Burgeo, which we've been offering for the last 3 or 4 years. And as well, we've just started doing the same thing over in Ramia. So that's pretty much it in terms of the full-time programs and the general line of activities that are ongoing. Another activity that we're doing here in conjunction with the community is a community educational needs assessment, and it's probably not correct to call it an educational needs assessment, although educational needs are a part of it, but it's a process where we're trying to find out what the needs of the community are on the one hand for educational services in its broadest sense, not just the courses that give you a grade or a certificate, but general interest courses and leadership courses for people working in the community and things like that. And we're also trying to get a picture of what people may be interested in doing in terms of improving their own education and self-development and providing activities in the community. For example, we want to try to find out if people are willing to volunteer to do this, to do that. And that particular survey, when it's finished, will go into a report, and it will be available to the community, to anybody in the community, ourselves, other training institutes, the local high school, community development groups, and it'll be a resource they'll have when they want to look at putting on a particular program or activity or providing a service. And Carl Barnes and Ann Parsons are presently doing that, and it's probably a little inconvenience to people, particularly at this point in time when you have all the electioneering going on, but I would ask people to give a few minutes of their time to give that information. There's nothing personal about it. It's totally anonymous, and it's for the use of the community in its future development.
Okay, you mentioned the ABE programs that have been offered here in Burgeo. They've been ongoing for a few years now. What sort of results have you had from this?
We've had excellent results from the ABE program, and I'm glad you asked that question, because more often than not when you pick up the newspaper or you watch TV, you're hearing negative things about the TAGS program in particular, and how people want to take advantage of them or don't want to take advantage of them or are being forced to take advantage of them and it's not working and that sort of thing. As a matter of interest, if I remember correctly, when the fishery collapsed and there was an initial survey done here in Burgeo, and there was approximately 250 people identified, that's adults, in the community who had less than a high school education. And since we've come here just about 4 years ago now, we've, up to Christmas past, we've graduated, I'm not sure if it's 72 or 73 with high school completion, and there are 22 or 23 in the program at the moment, so that's 100. That's more, that's getting close to 40% of that total group, and that's one tremendous impact. And whether people you know, move on into further training, they certainly have the ability to do that now once they've got a basic education, but whether they do or not, if nothing else, it's a tremendous improvement for individuals, and you know, they can only be better for it. But there have been a lot of the people who have been trained in the ABE program or received their high school equivalency move on to other training in a trade or a technology or an applied art program. I believe it's approximately 50 out of that group of 73. So that's one tremendous amount of improvement. And that doesn't take into consideration the FFAW has had the Learning Centre here now for a number of years, and they're being, I don't know, but there's probably, you could do a program with them at some time, and I'm sure they'll be able to tell you about all the successes they've had. So if nothing else that's come out of the downturn of the fishery, there's an awful lot of people in this community now who have availed of an opportunity to educate themselves. And I'd encourage anybody who hasn't already taken that opportunity to take it either through the evening program or through the full-time program, and not to look at it as something perhaps that you do because you've got to do it, or that it's a scary thing. We try to get away from the old stigma of the way schools used to be one time and the bad experiences that people had, and people coming in can learn it at their own rate and their own pace, and be left alone to do their own thing. And if somebody is considering it but half afraid of it, I'd say give it a try. And I think people will enjoy it, and perhaps going into it too without the pressure of I've got to get a grade or a level or whatever the case may be. I just want to go in here to learn something new, to improve myself. And it's surprising how things change around. I remember last year I was over in Ramy, and I was talking to several of the people there who had come into the program, and we started the ABE program in Ramy much later than here. And when they came in, 2 or 3 of them indicated to me that they set a very low goal for themselves because they figured they couldn't learn. They hadn't been in school for years, and they hadn't had a lot of success when they were in school. And after 2 or 3 or 4 months in class, all of a sudden, I got to know that I can learn, and I sort of like this, and now my goals are to complete high school. But even if somebody never wants to complete high school, just learning to read and write a little better and learning a bit of general knowledge and making oneself a little more independent is worth the effort. And the opportunities are here now, and people have the opportunity to take advantage of these opportunities.
Okay, I understand that West Viking College is also in the process right now of setting up a couple of computers at the public library here in town. Can you tell us the purpose of...
Yes, I'll let Cyril talk to that, because Cyril has been involved in that project right from the start. And so Cyril, perhaps if you had a description of what's happening there.
Basically what we've got there is a partnership between West Viking College and the Newfoundland Public Library System. So basically what we're doing in 3 sites, that would be Port aux Basques, Burgeo and St. Anthony, is equipping each site with 2 publicly accessible computers, one of which will have internet access. Both computers have CD-ROM drives. So we're in the process now. We've ordered all of the text resources should now be in, or very soon. I've dropped off a load of CD titles yesterday, and we're now awaiting a shipment of videos plus the rest of the CDs. So these should be on stream, excuse me, give it 2 weeks. And I'd encourage anybody in the community to take advantage of these resources.
So will these computers be available for people that want to type up assignments and things like this as well, or?
Okay, it'll probably vary at each site, but basically I'd like to see the community determine the use they would like to put this equipment to. And if that's a priority for people in the community, I'm sure the public library system can accommodate that.
Okay, is there any other programs that West Viking is currently working on with relation to Burgeo or any other communities in the area?
Well, I'd like to speak about the BBS evening program with ABE. I should let people know that that project, which is now in its 4th year, perhaps, Steve, has gotten an awful lot of interest at a national level. And I suspect we may see some visitors down here within a couple of months who are interested in having this concept put in place in other sites. So I think what the project has done has built up people's confidence in the system enough to know that people will use it. But I suspect that the people of Ramea can be grateful to Burgeo in that the system which they have in place was largely put there as a result of the success of this initiative. So I'd like to thank the people of this community, and Bern Benoit and yourself and Claude in particular.
Just one point, Cyril had talked about the resources in the library. There's a number of titles there that are excellent learning resources for high school and elementary school children. And one of the things that's over there too is are copies of, I think there are 22 of them altogether in the set of science videos. They've been used here with the program you're offering here, but these are there in the library for high school kids or for adults who want to use them to assist them with their studies or just their general information. So that's the sort of thing, and we try to put as many resources as possible into the community. And that's one of the things you asked if we were looking at anything else in particular at this point in time. There is nothing in particular that I haven't mentioned, but we're always keeping our ears to the ground, and if there is a need for a part-time course in particular, and there are enough of people wanting to do it, and we can find an instructor, let us know, and we'll do our best to put it off.
Okay, is there anything else that either of you would like to add?
I think we've pretty well said it all that there is at this point in time. One final thing is we have counseling services that are available to the community too, career counseling, and if there are adults in the community who are still in the process of trying to make up their mind in terms of a career move or change, let us know. call into our office in Stephenville. We have a 1-800 number that I can't remember right offhand, but you probably could flash it across your community channel every once in a while. And we have a career counsellor that could come down to and does come to the community occasionally, and if somebody needs that type of service, it's available. Or somebody wants to come up to the college in Stephenville and have a look around to see for themselves for a day or two or whatever it is, let us know, and we'll more than willingly accommodate that.
Well, I guess I would conclude by saying that this community survey that's on the go now, I'd encourage people to be fairly straightforward with this. There's no hidden agenda or anything like this. Basically, it's an attempt for the community and the college to determine the kinds of services and programs that people would like them to put in place. The survey shouldn't take long to fill out. As Pat said, they are anonymous.
Yes.
And we're very interested in seeing what the results are.
Just to add, these types of surveys have been done in other communities. The first one that I was familiar with happened on the Port Peninsula, I don't know, about 3 years ago, I guess. And this one is modeled after that, and there was another one done in Fogo. And basically, it's to get information to help the community decide what type of programs, courses, services of an educational nature or a community development nature that can and could be offered. And like Cyril said, that there's, I guess there's so many surveys and so many people looking for this and that sometimes people become suspicious as to what's up now or what they're trying to get at, and there's no hidden agenda in that. And so I'd encourage people to fill it in, and if you're not comfortable with one part of it, well, avoid one part and go on to the other. But there's really nothing to be concerned about there. It has nothing to do with TAG's eligibility or anything like that. It hasn't. We want to survey of the whole community and not just the TAG's recipients. And that's one of the concerns that have been expressed in most communities by people who didn't fall under the TAGS program. Is nobody is giving us anything or looking out for us or providing services for us. And this is what we're trying to do with that particular survey, is to get the whole community and not just the people under the Atlantic Groundfish strategy.
Okay, well, we'd like to thank both of you for coming in and speaking with us today.
It's been a pleasure, David, as usual.
Well, David, it's a pleasure being on the other side of the disc from you. I should point out that Dave was in a political science class of mine, so it's different now. He's the one grilling me. So thanks for having us.
Our guests today are Pat Power, Area Director with the Bay St. George campus of West Viking College, and Cyril Organ, Program Development Officer with West Viking College. Since the last heavy rainfall we have had, there's been a great deal of talk about the ice rifting at Grandy's Brook. We've obtained some footage of the ice at the brook.
Sandy Point, a lot of it. Be a hard job walking over the flat right now. She's perfect over there. I'll get everything over there. Guys, Cabot might think it's there somewhere. Bad time getting in now. Well, isn't there something else?
like to thank Hare Brothers Outfitters for the use of their footage. Stay with us, there's more of This Week in Review still to come.
Who's gonna drop my first?
Watch where you're going!
Ginger had high hopes in life.
Get the message. Use the quarter.
Off the rack. This week as we scanned our tape racks, we came across a video of the vapor on the water around Burgeo in March of 1990.
There's many a tragic story in our annals oft retold. How sailors brave their strength they gave up to the savage cold. How many's a life was saved and warmed by a friendly outstretched hand. And in dire events how Providence brought out the good in man. That's how it was that February 1942, when death hit a raging blizzard from out the southern blue. And the victims when that awful dawn broke on Placentia Bay, were the Truxton and the Pollocks, bound for Argentia Bays, bound for to help the Allied cause and Hitler's grip to free. The mighty hand of Uncle Sam was welcome hearted.
The cold, gray, mysterious North Atlantic. It yields its secrets slowly. It's a
Pansy, Marie, and Melissa will be here again on Saturday morning. Very special place for children. And next Sunday, join us for This Week in Review from A.J. Matthews School. Next week is Education Week, and although it's not as big an event as it was years ago, some of the students at A.J. Matthews will be covering events around the school throughout the week. Please join us. It's sure to be entertaining and informative. Next week's program will be followed by The Bandwagon. Stay tuned now for Up the Shack featuring Todd Carroll from our friends at Ramya Broadcasting. For This Week in Review, I'm Dave Cooper. Good night.